What's up, everybody? Jimmy and Frank are back. Things got a little heated in the first segment because both of us are really passionate about what we do. Isn't that right, Frank?
Yeah.
All right. Now, Frank has got a few things he wants to touch on with Brock Lesnar. I'm going to give Frank the floor. So, Frank, it's all yours. Take it away, bro.
Well, as we were talking about the network is affecting the product because they're losing money and they're cutting corners. And this applies into Brock Lesnar. He's very expensive. Every time he appears, he gets money, and that's why we're not seeing him on TV or on pay-per-views. I didn't have a problem with him missing a pay-per-view or defending every other pay-per-view, but I mean, come on, 3 months, 3 pay-per-views.
They were better off leaving the belt on Daniel Bryan.
I mean, really, it's ridiculous.
They took the belt.
He needs to at least defend every other month, and missing the boat on possible great matchups he could have. He could have matchups with Randy Orton. He could have a matchup with, I don't know.
To lead up to his defeat at WrestleMania, which is where it should take place, because that's where this whole journey for Brock Lesnar started, he should have had matches with multiple guys. I would have had him...
Let's take the fact that his contract ends right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it does. And I'll tell you right now, I give you a warning right now. If Brock Lesnar leaves the company after WrestleMania 31,
he is. I don't think he's going to.
You will see and hear the singularly biggest rant I've ever gone on in my entire life. Because if that motherfucker leaves the WWE after being given the greatest honor that you could possibly be given in wrestling, oh shit, am I going to go nuts.
Listen, he is going to leave, and he probably won't be back until SummerSlam 2015 after WrestleMania. At the earliest.
No, I'm talking about if he leaves the company entirely.
Oh, he'll always come back. He'll probably just go back to maybe like 1 or 2 appearances since he's not going to be champion anymore. So he'll probably just have like 3 matches like at SummerSlam and then...
No, I'm saying if he leaves WWE and goes back to UFC after WrestleMania 31, you will see the biggest rant that Jimmy Faluca has ever gone on in his entire life, because that motherfucker was given something that should have never been given to him, and that's the streak. And
let's put this scenario. What if his WrestleMania match, let's say he loses the belt before WrestleMania, and his WrestleMania match is against The Undertaker, and The Undertaker beats him?
Not at all. Shouldn't happen. Should not happen. The Undertaker doesn't belong in the ring with Brock Lesnar. As much now, if I wanted to be 100% selfish, Frank, if I wanted to be 100% selfish, and Jimmy had his way, Undertaker wins the Royal Rumble, gets his shot at Brock Lesnar, gets the belt, retires the next night, proves he doesn't need the streak to be great. Undertaker goes into the Hall of Fame next year. Now, if I wanted to be completely selfish, but
James, that's fantasy. That's right now.
That is fantasy. That's why it's not going to happen.
But we go through this again. You don't know the Undertaker's position on this. Maybe he doesn't want to wrestle. Maybe he doesn't want to win the belt. Maybe he can't even perform. Maybe he's looking to retire.
Well, I hope to Christ that my last image of the Undertaker doesn't have to be him walking away like a beaten dog, because that's basically what he looked like to me at WrestleMania 30. Like a beaten.
I think we'll see him back again.
Like a beaten dog. Listen, I'm holding out for all hope that he has the match with Sting, because that's the only match that I ever want to see Sting in. I don't want to see him fight Cena. I don't want to see him fight Triple H. I have no desire to see him fight Bray Wyatt. To me, Bray Wyatt's damaged goods at this point.
I agree with you. I think that Sting's only match is against The Undertaker, and I think right now, if that could work, if the both of them are healthy enough,
I think Undertaker's healthy enough.
But you think, but maybe Undertaker isn't. We don't know Undertaker's condition. Remember that match against Brock Lesnar. He didn't look that as
Well, that's the reason he didn't look that good, and this needs to be cleared up. He suffered a concussion 5 minutes into the match. The guy...
James, yes, I understand that, but I'm talking about... He's he's old now. He's in his 50s. He's not the same guy he was.
I understand that 100%, but to have a 10-minute match with Sting, who doesn't hurt people, who does not hurt people, is not going to kill him.
No, I think they could pull it off.
Sting is finally in the WWE. They would be fools to not have this happen. But you want to know how it has to happen? If Undertaker and Sting is going to happen, it needs to be promoted that it's the last time you're going to see either one of them. It has to be told this is it. This is it for the two of them. Undertaker's done after this. Undertaker should... The way I would book it is simple. Undertaker comes out, they would announce it a week or two in advance. Undertaker's going to be at Raw to make a special announcement. He's going to come out and basically say, I'm finished. I lost the streak. The defeat is too much for my soul to bear. I am officially retiring. And as he goes to leave, that's when you play a video package. And that's when Sting comes out. Not so fast, Undertaker. I didn't wait all this time to come to WWE just for you to walk out the second I walk in. And
no, I agree. And if they do that, it has to be mid-January at least. Mid to late January.
And at first, because Sting would have to make more than one appearance before WrestleMania, he would have to cowboy the fuck up with that one. Take a refuse.
I don't think they should even risk having Sting wrestle.
I mean make an appearance. To cut promos.
Yeah, of course.
To cut promos, because you got to build up. You got to have a build up. You can't just use footage of Sting's old matches to build up to this match.
Yeah, I think he has to appear. Him and the Undertaker have to appear no later than January.
I say they need to have at least 4 appearances where they're together, or they're talking to each other. Because at first...
Maybe they won't have it together, but maybe they'll do like what they did this year with Brock.
Because at first, Taker's got to refuse. Because he wants to retire. Because he feels that after he lost the streak, he lost his will to fight. And then Sting can call him out and say, really, that's all it takes for you to retire is to just lose one match? Have Sting touch on the fact that Starrcade was WCW's hallowed ground and he lost there once or twice. And that he was able to bounce back from it. And he could turn around and say... You know what, Undertaker? Now I don't want the match with you because I was able to bounce back from my greatest defeats, and you proved to me that you can't.
Well,
and that
will make the Undertaker look strong.
Exactly. It makes
I think maybe they can evolve. I think they're going to probably keep both of them a couple appearances here and there. I don't think they're even going to make that the focal point to WrestleMania. I think that match should take place somewhere in the middle.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying it should be the last match on the card. Absolutely not.
No.
Undertaker and Sting.
Somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. That's where the legends belong. Because the Undertaker and Sting, as much as I love them both, the Undertaker's my first and Sting is my second favorite wrestlers of all time. They didn't break their asses all year long to main event WrestleMania. So they shouldn't be closing. But they belong in a nice little spot on the card. In the middle of the card.
Nice little good match. Nice fantasy match.
10-15 minutes is all they need. 10-15 minutes is all they need. But
15 minutes is too much. 10 minutes is
But like I said, and you want to know something? They should leave that match shaking hands and they should walk away together.
Yeah,
and that's the end of their careers. They never wrestle again. The next time you see either one of them is when they're inducted into the Hall of Fame. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, you never know what could happen. They might have, Sting might have something left in the tank, and they might use him here and there.
I wouldn't mind having Sting be like a GM or something, but you want to know what? That should be, if Sting has any match, and I have to pick one, it should be The Undertaker. I mean, it almost has to be The Undertaker. Sting said 1,000 times, I want The Undertaker. I hope that was included in his contract. I will...
He's just doing a little promoting, but that's the match. That's the match.
That's the match everyone wants to see when it comes to Sting and The Undertaker. And it doesn't matter if the match is going to be great or not. The promos alone are going to sell that match.
Of course, of course.
Because can you imagine Sting demanding the match with The Undertaker? Undertaker refuses. And then Sting says something to either fire The Undertaker up or say something that really pisses him off. To where Undertaker finally turns around and says, all right, Sting, you want the match? You got it. Now your ass is mine. Can you imagine the spectacle of those two going face-to-face? Oh, I got goosebumps.
That's must-watch TV. I could imagine the Jeanettes,
Oh my God! Let me tell you something. If that match happens, you will see the little child in me come out like you've never seen before, Frank, because that's my dream match.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a lot of people's dream match.
Now, back to Brock Lesnar. His not making as many appearances as he should is hurting the product because he's the champion and he's not around. This is not UFC. This is the WWE. It's professional wrestling.
Well, listen, like I said,
at the very least, I'm not saying he should be at every pay-per-view.
Being around all the time. He doesn't have to be on TV every week.
No, of course not. I don't need to see Brock Lesnar every week. But you want to know something?
He can even miss an occasional pay-per-view. But
of course, I don't care if Brock Lesnar. I don't care if Brock Lesnar misses Hell in a Cell. I could care less if he misses TLC. But at least
I don't think he should miss 2 straight pay-per-views.
I think that Brock Lesnar, at the very least, should be at all the big 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah. No, definitely. But like I said,
Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. That ain't asking much.
Yeah, I think, they're not even promoting him for Survivor Series. That's
the fact that the Survivor Series is not going to have Brock Lesnar on it while he's the champion.
Well, listen, the focus of Survivor Series is Team Cena versus Team Authority, and you saw Vince McMahon now put the stipulation in that the Authority has to win, or they get stripped of their power. So.
If they wanted to be smart, they would turn around and say this: okay, the Authority's got to put something on the line, which is their power. What does John Cena have to risk? His title shot against Brock Lesnar, so you can give Randy Orton the match with Brock.
Yeah, but
because the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, the match itself is what sells the Royal Rumble. The Rumble match itself is what sells it. So you could afford.
I see what you're saying, James, but you can't do that. You can't make Cena lose his shot because he's not. It's a 5-man team. Like, what if 4 people lose and he has to fight everybody by himself? You understand what I'm saying?
Listen. Like I've been trying to say, Brock Lesnar should be fighting more than one person on his road to losing the belt. I mean, come on. You could have had Brock Lesnar fight Randy Orton. Which
I think that's the match everybody wants to see right now.
You could have had, if you booked him properly, you could have had him fight Cesaro. Can you imagine the story? The story would have been there. Cesaro lost his match.
Not now. I mean, the way Cesaro's been booked.
No, with the way he's been booked now, there's no way anyone would take it seriously. But 5-6 months ago, I could totally see it.
Cesaro was showing incredible feats of strength, and
can you imagine him giving Brock Lesnar that suplex from the outside back in? Holy crap!
About giving it to Lesnar the sink.
The uppercut.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, well, we could go on and on, and we're going.
But yeah, now as far as who should dethrone Brock Lesnar, it is clear as crystal. Brock Lesnar should be dethroned at WrestleMania. Because that's where his journey started. His journey started when he broke the streak in half. And it was at WrestleMania. So, his journey should end at WrestleMania. Where it started. Poetic justice. The beast is dethroned where he assumed to the throne.
But you see what now? I keep thinking about it. Because his contract ends after WrestleMania, it might be too predictable that he's going to drop the belt at WrestleMania.
Who cares? It was predictable that Daniel Bryan was going to win the belt anyway.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm thinking about that now. It's everybody's going to, whoever he faces, everybody's going to know that he's going to lose. And
but you want to know what though?
Unless he resigns before. Then that's a different story. But like I said, that's the whole.
Well, my friend Christian today told me that he signed a 5-year deal with them.
I don't know. We don't know this. It's not knowledge.
Well, listen. I don't think there's any way Brock Lesnar's losing the belt until WrestleMania because that's where it started.
I think it all depends on his contract negotiations.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they're dumb enough to make John Cena beat him for the belt at the Royal Rumble, you're going to see some pretty angry fans at that show.
James, if he says he's done after WrestleMania, you can't have him wrestle on WrestleMania for the belt because then it's predictable.
The Undertaker's match for the last 20 years has been predictable and no one complained.
I don't think so. Come on, his matches at WrestleMania have been close calls every time. You always felt that he might lose. Like, is this going to be the match that he loses? You always felt that. If people know that Lesnar's going to be done after WrestleMania, then they know he's going to lose the belt.
But does it really take away from it?
Yeah, Jay. I mean,
I don't think it takes away from it at all. If someone like Roman Reigns, let's discuss one possibility. Roman Reigns. That's if this guy can regain the steam that he lost from being out. Because let's be honest, Roman Reigns wasn't really as over as everyone was talking about. I think Dean Ambrose.
He lost a little momentum.
I think Dean Ambrose was more over than Roman Reigns was.
Right, yeah, well, right now he is. But Roman Reigns was getting there. He was getting there.
No, he was getting there. And I have no problem with Roman Reigns winning the title from Brock Lesnar. I think he's the most logical pick.
I agree. If he's the next guy and they feel he's the next guy, then that's okay. But if they go the route of him facing Cena for the belt at WrestleMania, then I wouldn't have a problem with Roman Reigns beating Cena at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but there's no guy. And you think for 1 second, that John Cena would lose clean to Roman Reigns?
Yes, at WrestleMania, yes. I think I guarantee he would.
I thought he would do the right thing by Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, but I knew better.
Well, I think if you really think about it, over the summer they teased Cena. If you remember on Raw, they teased Cena and Roman Reigns a couple of times. They were going face to face. I think that was a test reaction to see what kind of reaction that got.
No.
Listen, that has a big fight feel to it.
No, it does have a big fight feel to it, but I don't think that John Cena should be... I don't want to really get back into it. I don't think John Cena should even be considered to be the guy to beat Brock Lesnar. He doesn't need it. He does not need it.
Again, he doesn't need it, but it will make the next guy that much bigger.
I think that Roman Reigns should be the one...
The next guy has beaten the greatest almighty John Cena at WrestleMania.
I think it means more to beat Brock Lesnar. It means more to beat Brock Lesnar because Brock broke the streak. It means more. And you need to give the guys that are coming up what means more. What would you rather do? Beat John Cena, the guy that everyone's sick and tired of? Or would you rather beat the guy who by himself, with no interference, pinned The Undertaker at WrestleMania?
And also squashed John Cena at SummerSlam.
Exactly. You're just furthering my point.
We're going in a circle.
Brock Lesnar.
Negotiations.
Listen.
It has to do with who's better, what should be, what shouldn't be. It matters on his contract negotiations. This is business. You gotta stick.
See, that's something else, Frank, and this is something I got to go up at. Everyone throws the word business around. Okay.
It is a business.
I know it's a business, but you got to do the right thing. You cannot waste.
Sometimes things don't always work out the way that they.
You cannot waste what The Undertaker did for Brock Lesnar. You can't waste that. You cannot waste that. They have lightning. They have lightning in a bottle right now.
A beast, an indestructible beast right now.
Excuse me?
I said, are we talking about Brock Lesnar being an indestructible foe?
Yes, he has to be. He has to be kept practically untouchable until WrestleMania. That's the goal. He has to, because that's where it started. If he loses to John Cena at the Royal Rumble, what does Brock Lesnar do then?
Then I think
nothing, and that's a waste.
And I think that maybe then. I don't know, James.
That would be the biggest mistake they could possibly make with this whole scenario, and the ending of the streak will have been for naught.
No, you're wrong, because
I'm not wrong on that, Frank. I'm sorry, but
you got to look at it this way. This ending of the streak carries over to Cena. Cena beats the guy.
Yeah, but that is something I do not want. I don't want that at all. As an Undertaker fan and as a wrestling fan, I don't want that. I don't want it. He doesn't belong in that class. He's not that good.
James, the guy's been around for 12 years.
And he's been pushed down the fans' throats for 10 of those 12 years.
And again, whose fault is that?
It's his own fault and Vince McMahon's fault, and I'll tell you why.
No, nobody has stepped up, James.
Oh my God, Frank, are you really going to answer me with that? Because let's tell the truth.
Somebody steps up.
Let's tell the truth, Frank. You talk about the guys stepping up. Okay, let's put this to bed. Hulk Hogan, did anyone push him aside? No, he had enough sense to walk away when he was getting stale.
We had Macho Man.
Are you out of your mind? Nobody pushed Hogan aside when he left the WWF in '93.
But there were guys who were ready to take the spot. Macho Man.
But they were given... You don't understand, Frank. When Hulk Hogan left... I'll go through every single face of the company that they've had since Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Bret Hart didn't push Hulk Hogan aside. He never could. Hulk Hogan left... Bret Hart took the reins because he was the next guy. They had no choice. When Bret Hart left, Shawn Michaels took the reins.
Dude, to answer your own question, there was always that next great
Yeah, because
guy.
the guy left. Not because someone...
There was a great guy there. What if there was...
Are you going to stand there and tell me that Bret Hart was more popular than Hulk Hogan?
No, he wasn't.
But that's the point.
Bret Hart is an all-time great. Shawn Michaels.
He's not on Hulk Hogan's level as far as popularity.
Nobody's going to be on Hulk Hogan's level.
There is one, Steve Austin.
Stone Cold.
But let me ask you this:
He's there. He got built up. There is nobody right now to take that place.
There is plenty of guys that could take that place. They're not booked to look that strong.
Who?
Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns.
Daniel Bryan might not wrestle again.
That's not true at all.
Yes, he does. He's missed action. This is another thing. Cena never misses action. That's why he's so valuable. The guy is there every month.
And people are sick, and the people are sick of him. What does that tell you? They're sick and tired of him.
Okay, but tell me, you're not going to watch WrestleMania if he's the champion and he fights Roman Reigns at
If he breaks Ric Flair's record, I will give serious consideration into not watching WrestleMania. Serious consideration.
That's like saying if somebody breaks home run, like you're never going to watch baseball.
But you want to know something, Frank? You want to know something? In sports, you have to be the best. You have to. This is a scripted program. He does not have to be the freaking hero every single time.
It doesn't matter. He has longevity. That's the fact is he has longevity, and there is no one around in his era that could take his place. Brock Lesnar left. Batista left. These are guys that if they would have stood, maybe Cena doesn't get all these title belts, title runs. Maybe he isn't needed to take all these title runs.
Well, you want to know something, Frank? You want to know the solid facts? They depend on him way too much, and that's why they're hesitant to let other guys break through.
He's always their backup plan. In reality, he's their backup plan. He's not their main.
So that doesn't make him a great. It doesn't. He's basically the $5 foot long. That's basically what he is.
James, you go back to 2002, 2003. They got Lesnar. He leaves. John Cena's the backup plan. Then they have Batista. Batista leaves. John Cena's the backup plan. Instead,
well, you want to know something, Frank? The only way I will accept him going another title reign, he's got to turn heel.
Maybe down the road he will. Maybe
that's the only way that I, as a wrestling fan, will accept him becoming a 16-time world champion, which to me is wrestling sacrilege. Sacrilege. And how anyone could accept that is fucking beyond me. The only way I can accept it...
You gotta stop viewing wrestling as a purist. It's a show.
No, but you want to know what? It's insulting to my intelligence. The guy's not that good. He isn't.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter, Frank. It does matter.
Is Roger Harris half the player of Babe Ruth? Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record, and people said the same thing back then. They hated Roger Maris to break Babe Ruth's record because he isn't as good as him. But he still did it. It's a record. Records are made to be broken.
You're comparing an actual sport to a scripted sport. They decide who wins and they decide who loses.
I'm talking about records. You're focusing on a record. If James, you're talking about a scripted show about a record.
Yes, I am. It's still considered a record.
It's scripted.
But it's still
The Undertaker could lose Ric Flair's record. Ric Flair's title reigns could could go. And I don't think every one of Ric Flair's title reigns were great runs. How many times did he lose the belt one week and win it back the next week?
I think this is an absolute lost cause.
Oh, come on. You want to talk? I'm going to be...
It's a lost cause because you want to know what? Too many people buy into him. And you want to know what?
How many times Ric Flair lost the belt to Kevin Monerick because his brother died, and he lost the belt on that outside show that was really a tribute to the Von Erichs. He lost the belt and then won it back 7 days later. So that's 2 title reigns in a week.
Business was a different. It was the business was a different animal then. Title changes happened all the time.
Title changes don't happen all the time now.
It was different back then. It was way different.
Different? It was the guy, Ric Flair, would lose the belt to somebody in a different territory.
Frank, I'll put it to you this way: if you're okay with John Cena breaking Ric Flair's record, that's your business. I think it's bullshit. I think it's insulting to the pro wrestling fans' intelligence who have been booing this guy since 2006, and the only reason they get away with it is because they have no competition. If this was any other era...
You think Triple H should be a 13-time champion?
Triple H is good enough.
You think he deserves to be a 13-time champion?
I had no problem with Triple H.
Randy Orton is a 10-time champion?
Randy Orton broke the mold of his father, who's a Hall of Famer. The guy's smooth in the ring. At least they're good wrestlers, Frank. This guy's not a good wrestler.
And also, you got to consider this. There was 2 titles. 2 titles during Cena's run. There's 2 titles to win. Ric Flair only had 1 title to win.
So what does that mean?
It changed. It's a different era. You can't compare eras. Just like you can't compare the era in the 60s and the 70s when Bruno Sammartino...
Well, I'm sorry, Frank, and we're going to end this segment on this, and then we'll head into the next segment. I will never accept John Cena as an all-time great, because he isn't.
Okay.
He isn't, and I think anyone who does doesn't even know what the hell they're talking about. Because it's no different than politics. It's no different than politics. They brainwash people into thinking what they want because they have a monopoly.
Yeah, that's they're selling this. That's what they're selling today. That's what they're selling today. You think a 9-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid cares about history? Come on, I go to school with people. They don't even know what happened in 1994. You want to talk about going back to the 70s and the 60s? People have short attention spans today.
John Cena is not the greatest champion of all time, and he shouldn't have anything to...
He is.
Well, you want to know what? The only person that should be able to break Ric Flair's record is the greatest champion that ever lived. He isn't.
Is Hulk Hogan a better champion than Ric Flair?
Absolutely not. And Ric Flair has 4 more
champion of all time.
Excuse me?
Ric Flair is the greatest champion of all time?
Absolutely. As of this moment,
Sammartino.
He's a better champion than Sammartino, yes.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely. Do you name one match that you remember from Bruno Sammartino other than when he won the title and lost it? Name any other match.
I watched him versus Superstar Billy Graham the other day. I watched him versus Stan Hansen the other day. Come on, James. Every time Bruno Sammartino fought, it was it was entertaining match. Maybe and I don't know why. Maybe you got programmed. Ric Flair, come on, he's had the same match for the last 10 years. He does the fall down, the front fall down.
I can't remember. I cannot recall watching a single Ric Flair match when he was the man that I didn't enjoy. That's what I have to tell you.
His matches are entertaining, but come on, he has the same match every time. He gets punched, and then he does the fall slap on his face. When he's a heel, he backs up into the corner of his knees and he begs, please back off.
Downplaying Ric Flair's wrestling ability just to support John Cena being able to surpass it? Come on.
How many times have you seen Ric Flair go climb the top rope only to get body slammed? Every match.
That's actually one of my favorite spots in all his matches.
Yeah, but come on. If John Cena had the same did the same thing in every match, everybody would be killing him.
Oh, this is exhausting. This is exhausting.
Listen, Ric Flair was involved in great angles and great storylines.
And he was responsible for a lot of great. And he was responsible for a lot of great matches. Something John Cena could never make the claim to. He was lucky enough. He was lucky enough to work with some good wrestlers.
Hold that thought, James. I gotta go. 1 second. I gotta call you back. All right.
All right, not a problem. Frank and I'll be back with the next segment
I'll call you right back.
in about a few minutes.